Hey guys, I just got my first 3-1 performance up at Element Games up in Stockport. Really pleased with my performance in the tournament. Let's talk about it. Yeah, really pleased with my performance overall. I got to meet some another kill team YouTuber. Some can you roll a hit or something like that. He was called it's like some small time channel. I think he was called On Reese. It was my second game. Anyway, um, it's a good event. It was run by the Deadwood lads. It's probably my third Deadwood event now. So there's a reason I keep going back. You know what I mean? They're always good events, always well organised, always well run. Prize support's always really good. Vibes are always on point. It's just a good atmosphere. Like I think in general, I can't recommend tournaments enough for anyone who plays any kind of war game really because just the social aspect. It really is what makes the experience. As usual, Ollie did a really good job at keeping the event times running, smoothly and stuff like that. Ollie, I do apologise. I did put my scoring in the end of the first round incorrectly and cost us all about 10 minutes. So womp womp, go me. But there we are. In terms of the venue, it was really cool. It was kind of like it was an old building, and as you're driving up to it, you're looking around, you think, oh my god, what have I got myself in for? And it's kind of like a really unassuming. The way in is up like one stairwell, and it's one sort of door round the back of an old industrial building. But then you get in, and it's just like a TARDIS, man. It's just like Element Game just keeps on going. Shed loads of stock everywhere. There was aircon, which was sound, and the table space was boss. I mean, even though we had a 32-man kill team event running on the day. There was plenty of room for a 40k tournament to be run simultaneously at the same time. So I can't fault the venue itself. I mean, obviously it's an old building, but it's kind of got like character. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever like when you go in the gym. Do you want to be in like the super swish Globo gym, which like I don't know is kind of like soulless and weird, or do you want to be like lifting barbells with like meatheads in like the mean looking heavy metal gym? Like it's kind of like the nerd equivalent of going to like that kind of gym. If you know what I mean? Is that a weird analogy? I don't know. Anyway, it was good. Okay, so game one was against Ben's Battleclade. The game itself was on Volcus Map 1, and I took the deployment that gave me access to one of the strongholds with a doorway that opens up onto the midboard. And I did that deliberately because I knew that the leader guy, his leader, the techno archaeologist, can double move. So I was a little bit worried about his ability to use that doorway himself to run out of run out into the midboard and basically blow me up. So I wanted to take that for deployment. Now 10.1, we just kind of moved up. I used a couple of pre-game moves, things like that. We both actually used covert guises. We both had that available to us actually. And with those pre-game moves, we staged up and prepped basically for 10.2. Now you always kind of want initiative, don't you, on 10.2? But I didn't win it here. Actually, Ben won it, and he'd managed to basically break down one of the flanks, and he used the Battleclade's stratagem to swap two of his operatives, and this basically allowed him to alpha strike. He did kill. He killed one. He killed one of my familiars, and he actually got my leader with his power sword down to one wound. He had one command point left, basically, and because he didn't kill my leader and he was left on one wound, he tried for the reroll. It was on a flamer, as is tradition. He re-rolled a 1 into a 1. So I took that opportunity. Obviously, I broke out of the access point, and then with pervasive up because I can ignore the first 2 inches of movement when climbing. So I managed to make it all the way into his his stronghold and basically melt a gun his techno-archaeologist. Now, obviously, that was a pretty big misplay for him, and I managed to capitalise on that. And after that point, we kind of just started trading up. I managed to take down the flank that he tried to run me down on, and from there, I basically scored surveillance each turn, and I managed to run away with surveillance, as well as obviously maintain control on those two backfield objectives. And basically, I just ran away, kept the pressure up after that initial counter punch. I just kept the pressure up after that, and win that game quite handily with a 20-7 win. So my second game was against John Reese from Can You Roll a Crit? He ran away with the game. I didn't feel too bad considering he's been to Worlds and stuff like that, but I definitely think I could have scored more highly if I didn't do a couple of critical misplays, basically. So the map for game 2 was Volcus map 4, and John picked the side with a double vantage. He kind of showed a little bit of tech off, really, I think, against other Horde teams here, because he combined that with his operative selection when he picked the sniper, basically, as opposed to one of the other gunners, which would be less useful against a Horde team. We'll go into that a little bit later, but first we'll talk about the pre-game and turning point 1. In the pre-game, I misplayed my sapper, so I was kind of starstruck, I think. I mean, obviously I'm talking to John, and he is literally a kill team YouTuber, which is the thing that I'm kind of like trying to do in the background, I guess. So I'm a little bit starstruck, obviously, and I probably would have lost the game anyway, but that didn't help. And as all this stuff's going through my head, I'm doing my pre-game movements, and I moved one of my familiars up, and I wanted to move my sapper up, but he was behind a ruin. And in my head, because you're limited to a 3-inch move, in my head it was a dash, and he wasn't allowed to climb the ruin, whereas he could have climbed the ruin. He could have climbed the ruin and moved the full 3 inches forward and projected where I needed him to, which is the exact play that John Reese did with his own sapper after me. And instead, I kidded myself into thinking I couldn't make that pre-game move, which gave me sort of a big disadvantage in terms of action economy, because the sapper is like one of the big power pieces with the Brew Brother. Start turning point 2, I learned something about stronghold walls, so I couldn't believe it when it happened. But it is legitimate. John charges me with his agitator, and his agitator stops with a stronghold wall between my sapper and his agitator, and this is this wall is like twice the size of the the Brew Brothers, and obviously they can't see each other. So I say, come on, man, you're talking about, obviously you need visibility to to be in someone's control range, not when you're in a stronghold. So any walls that are below 2 inches high on a stronghold, you get to just ignore it for the purposes of control range. So not only have I've kind of had my sapper's threat projection neutered by my own misplay in terms of not moving him up with a pre-game move. I probably could have. I've also had his threat projection neutered again in the following turning point by not knowing the nuances of how strongholds work, essentially. So from that point on, I think my two big mistakes there were obviously capitalised on by John, and I knew he was going to take ground because that's what I was going to take, and I was just on the back foot from then on out. I had to try and pour resources into the stronghold. In essence, I think the combination of my own sort of two big misplays, as well as his better operative selection, kind of cost me the runaway here. I think he picked the sniper, and he also picked the side of the board that's got the double vantage. So he could move up using his his covert guys is up to the double advantage. Get accurate too with a sniper, which is probably, well, was far more useful than a melter or a plasma when you're shooting 7 wound guys. So the sniper and then the knife fighter who could move up, remain in concealment, kill or pretty much handily wipe out any any 7 wound normal guys I would throw at them and maintain pressure on my own Magus. Basically let him run away with the game. So John kind of ran away with the game after that, and it was a 21-5 loss for me. I think I could have scored more highly if I used my head a little bit, but I don't think I was going to win that one anyway, to be fair. So game 3 was against Mario and his Angels of Death. Mario had a beautifully painted little kill team, by the way. He had his AOD painted up as salamanders, and he just did a really good job. Yeah, the green really popped. That's something that's kind of stuck with me since I got back. I love a good salamander. So one of the cool things about this game was the map, which was really unique, and it was a variant on Beta Decima. And I've actually heard about this on I think it was a Squad Games podcast recently. It's the New England Beta Decima maps. So it's a slight variant of basically the normal Beta Decima map. It's got a little bit of light and heavy cover, and basically spread out along the maps. And it just played so much more like a proper game of Kill Team. I know, obviously, you can have light barricades and heavy barricades and stuff like that, but and I did, I still needed to make use of heavy barricades and light barricades in order to stage effectively. But it was a million times better than the normal Beta Decima maps. It didn't feel like a struggle to play, So yeah, one thing I really can't take away from that is the New England Beta Decima maps, spot on. I think I'm going to get my 3D printer set up soon and print all the little extra bits and bobs off so I can run it myself. So this game was it was a bit funny really, because I feel like of all the games that I played on the day, this is the game that I could have lost or I could have fumbled the most. However, whilst playing it, I felt like Mario he was rolling ice cubes. Like I could have played it. Honestly, I could have played like total crap and still won, purely because Mario just couldn't roll anything above a 4, or a 3. It was wild. But I think if it had kept us high on the prize, instead of focusing on he was bleeding Marines throughout the course of the game and stuff like that, and losing bodies. But I think if it had kept his eye on the prize, he probably could have pipped me for the win here. It was only 14-11 in my favour in the end. But we'll go into it. We'll break the game down. But basically in the pre-game, I set a heavy barricade up on that sort of main gantry, heading towards the central column, purely based on experience playing on previous Beta Decima maps, how important it is to control that central column, because of how much pressure it allows you to apply to the rest of the map, combined with obviously having a literal objective on top of it. So that was how I staged. Whereas Mario, he went for ladders instead, and he didn't pick a barricade on that central gantry. And unfortunately, he did stage up on there, and I was in a position at the end of turning point 1 to jump up onto on top of one of the crates and make a pot shot at his Marine, and I got him down to about 4 wounds, something like that. Then moving into turning point 2, I was able to use my my Magus to start chunking wounds off people with the mortal wound psychic power, combined with this honestly dreadful rolling, and then being sort of surprised and put on the back foot by burst damage from the Brew Brothers and the mortal wounds from the Magus. Mario was kind of he was on the back foot, I think, and managed to keep the pressure up, essentially hold on to that middle point. And towards the end of the game, his captain was making it down one of the flanks, and he started laying waste to the team, but I managed to hold on to the lead just about, and that game ended in like an 11-14 win for me. The last game I played was against Adam's Hyrotech Circle. Now, this game was played on Gallowdark, map 2. I had to stage up in such a way that I could threaten that big open central room, because I took hold centre, or take centre, where you've got to hold the midpoint and hold the midline. And the only way for me to access that midline was obviously in that room. And he basically he weighted a lot of his deployment in the smaller room. Obviously, you can understand why, because it gives you deeper staging points for the general map, and it gives you access to both of the other two objectives as well. However, he only sent his leader, his Technomancer, into that large room, essentially unsupported on his own. And because of the way I had deployed using light barricades and razor wire as well to stop him from getting into that room, I stopped a lot of his progress. I knew the Necrons only had a 5-inch move, so it was going to knock it down to 4, and I knew they'd lose an inch coming through the doorway as well. So I was basically able to stage up in that little central corridor, and I think that essentially really put him off from entering that big central room through the door on the right side. So again, his Technomancer entered that room. Everyone he shot died, but obviously I wasn't just giving him targets for free. I played cagey. I didn't even start engaging till the later part of 10.2. I managed to hold the centre line, hold the mid, and basically I just by holding those two rooms and knocking his Technomancer down pretty quickly, that kind of put him on the back foot. The Technomancer did get up with a wound, but I managed to kill him again at sort of towards the end of 10.3. Basically just keep the pressure on. And I actually, although I did a lot of chip damage throughout 10.2 and 3, I didn't go in for the kill, actually try to kill anyone until 10.4, because I knew about the reanimation protocols. So in 10 point, I managed to hold on to a lot of power weapons till the end of 10.3, start of 10.4, and that's when I started to really get aggressive and move into that small room and go for the kills, because I knew even if I killed them, they would count as being dead at the end of the game because they wouldn't get to reanimate. And that was basically how I played the final turning point to max out my score. Top 8, the results for the tournament. So in first place there was John Reese with his Brew Brothers, Adam Hartman with Battleclade, Ryan Molson with Sanctifiers, that doesn't count, Harris Law with Raveners. Now, Harris was playing his game when I was playing John Reese next to me, and honestly, I couldn't focus on what I was doing, because I was like trying to vicariously pick up nuggets of information on how he was piloting these Raveners so well. So Harris, if you're watching, please tell me, I need to know. Then we've got in 5th place Tom the Claw Shaw, prolific Nemesis Claw player in the area. Thank God he's been nerfed a little bit, maybe they'll rein him in. Then we've got Jack the Rat King Howarth with his Ratlings, Deck, another Declan with his Inquisition, and then me in 8th place with the Brew Brothers as well. I think it was a really good spread. If you look at the spread of factions in the top 8, there was also prize support at the event for hobby score and stuff like that as well. So it was nice to see, as well as the top 3, people getting awarded for paint jobs and things like that too. So really great event. Had a boss time. Really looking forward to the South Yorkshire Kill Team event next week as well. Like I've said before, it'd be great to win one. It'd be great to win a tournament, or it'd be great to, you know, go 3-1 again and maintain that kind of level of success. But I can't recommend these tournaments enough, just for like meeting people who are as into the hobby as you are. As I've said before, guys, it's always really heartwarming going to these tournaments. You know, sharing the hobby with everyone and stuff like that. Yeah, looking forward to the next tournament, guys. Hopefully, I'll get a win one of these days. I don't think I'm going to win that 32-man Shark Tank in South Yorkshire though. That sounds like a big ask, but maybe I'll get a 12-man or something like that one day. We'll see. So yeah, still a very small channel, guys. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be great. Thanks for your time. Take it easy.